Okay. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dream Girl Dream. And today I am excited to have Krystin Godfrey. Did I say her name right?
Yeah, Chris.
Yay. And we are going to talk about her being an amazing blogger and influencer and how she made that transition. Krystin is a Jesus loving wife and mom of four who is a full-time blogger and influencer at Growing Up Godfrey, a lifestyle blog. There, she shares her life as a homeschool mom, parenting hacks, and travels with her crew of kids. Now, if you're looking for a perfect mom, you may want to keep looking because authentic and relatable is the only name of the game at Growing Up Godfrey. Krystin promises to always keep it real. So stop by, and she'd love to get to know you. So thank you, Krystin, for being on Dream Girl Dream today. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Great, great. So I want to ask you a quick question. I was reading about you and your husband and that you met at college. What college was that?
So we went to the University of Alabama at Birmingham. We both are from Birmingham, and we both had other plans for college. And at the last minute, both of our plans changed, and we ended up at UAB, and that's where we met.
Okay, you're born and raised in Birmingham. I actually have family in Birmingham. I've only met them once.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would love to like contact them again because I met them one time.
It's
But
awesome.
yeah, and I went to Alabama State. I don't know if you know that I went to Alabama State. So we would come to Birmingham often for the Magic City Classic.
Oh yeah, the classic's huge.
So what was the catalyst also behind Growing Up Godfrey? What was the catalyst that jumpstart you? I saw that you started blogging in 2019, but it seemed like you're doing amazing, doing great things, brand partnerships, all of that. So what was the catalyst?
So I actually have always kind of had the inkling that I wanted to blog. Before I got married, I was a single mom for 7 years, and my husband, my now husband, he was my boyfriend at the time. He always used to tell me, like, I think people really need to hear what you have to say about being a single mom and being in college. And I really think you should consider starting a blog. But I made all the excuses. I told myself I didn't have time, like maybe later once she's older. And I wish I had just jumped on it right then, but that's always the way it is with dreams, right? When we got married, and we had our first child together because we're a blended family. I decided to stay home with the baby and the kid and my daughter. And my husband was like, "Yeah, for sure, stay home, but why don't you use this time to launch your blog?" And I still waited a couple years, but finally, I felt like it was the perfect time. And actually, you were a part of the reason why I decided to start blogging. You had, I can't remember what your old podcast was named, but your Facebook show.
Dream
And
Chat, Dream Chat.
that's what
Yeah, Dream Chat.
we're talking with Jahava Brown about something about like how she launched her blog. And I remember you saying, like, just do it. Like, to everybody who's looking for it to be perfect, it doesn't have to be perfect, just do it. And that day I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So I put it into gear, and within like 3 weeks, I launched. It wasn't perfect, but I launched, and I'm steadily growing as I go. But I'm so grateful that I did. Grateful for that push from you. Grateful for the push from my husband, and it was just birthed out of that. And I'm like mind blown and grateful to God and how fast it's grown, because I know that's hard to do, but I can honestly say it's been so quick. And I'm grateful.
Well, no, I'm glad that I had a little piece of motivating you. And that's the whole point of Dream Chat, was to motivate moms to let them know. So to actually hear one and now be chatting with one about someone that put their feet to the metal and created something is amazing. So what is the best part about being an influencer so far? What's been like the best part?
I honestly think that the best part for me is that it was still important for me to be a homeschool stay-at-home mom. So while I knew that I wanted to make income, I knew that I wanted it to be from home. I didn't want to go back to working a traditional job. That just wasn't something that appealed to me. So it's been really cool to be able to make money from home, literally in my pajamas with my children under my feet. And that's been really nice to be able to contribute to our home, because we were one income family for years. And it's just nice to have a second income come in. And also, I've gotten to experience some really cool opportunities, as far as trips and, hosted stays. And I've gotten to bring my family along. So for me, it was important that my family be a part of what I was doing. And the blog has allowed me to do that and still be with my family and be present all the time.
Well, we know, like you said, you started in 2019, but we all could not have experienced or know what was coming in 2020. So how have you been since the pandemic with your business? And has it shifted, got better, the same?
Yeah, I actually think that the pandemic, I've been blessed that the pandemic actually like catapulted my business, I believe. We've been homeschooling since 2017. And
Mhm.
so when the pandemic hit, a lot of families became homeschool and virtual families and still are. And a lot of them were looking for guidance, how to do it, where to start, what kind of curriculum do I use, what kind of schedule do I need. And since I was able to help guide a lot of people, I think that that grew my business by leaps and bounds. So yeah, the pandemic definitely helped my business, and allowed me to help other families and other moms in a way that I don't think I would have been able to had everyone not been home looking for homeschool and virtual school tips.
So that was my next question. When you say like homeschooling help grow your business, I was gonna say how so, like you provided tips, did you like meet with moms and you just think your relatability to being homeschool kind of like drew people to you?
I think it was a combination of both. I spent a lot of time in my DMs, answering questions, giving curriculum advice. I wrote a couple blog posts that help people. For example, one of my like top blog posts for 2020 was just a comparison between homeschool and virtual school. I wrote it
Mhm.
this summer because I know a lot of families were confused and they really didn't know whether they should do, the public school virtual option or if they should really explore homeschool. So I was able
Mhm.
to walk a lot of families through that to kind of see like here are the pros of this, here are the cons of this, and you can make an informed decision for your family. So yeah, I did a combination of blog posts, Instagram posts, and I did a lot of like in my DM consultations and a couple of, I mean, I even hopped on Zoom with a couple of people to just kind of talk them through it, because one thing about me and my personality is like I'm as far from type A as you're gonna get. I am like hippie, crunchy, go with the flow mom, and we make homeschool a part of our life. We don't center our life around homeschool. So
Mhm.
I like to encourage families, like, I think people think that homeschool is this huge decision that's going to like change the course of their family. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think that it is an awesome option for a lot of families, but it doesn't have to change your life. I think if you just incorporate it into the life you're already living, that was the best choice for my family. And I think for a lot of families, that has worked for them. And that's why they've been able to continue, now that even though there's an option to send your kids back to school, a lot of families now are like, oh no, we've got our rhythm. We're free.
Mhm.
We have, freedom with our schedule. And that's something that we love. And I wanted to share. So I was able to share that a lot last year. And I think it helped a lot of people.
Have you always homeschooled, even like your oldest daughter?
So my oldest daughter actually went to school from kindergarten through second, and then we pulled her in third grade, and we've homeschooled ever since.
Oh wow.
So she is in the sixth grade now, and actually in the fall, she's been kind of leaning towards going back to public school, which I'm totally open to. So in the fall, we're going to explore sending her back, and then I will dive in a little bit deeper with my boys who are 4 and 2 into like a preschool format. So um, preschool homeschool is very new to me. I am learning every day, sharing every day because I'm used to homeschooling somebody who can already read, write,
Right.
and do basic math. You know what I mean? When she came
Yeah.
out, like we were ready to start cursive and multiplication. Whereas the boys, I mean, it's like from scratch. So I'm excited to get my own taste of like real deal in the trenches, teaching phonics and reading and spelling. So yeah, she has actually been in public school before. So this will be new to me, the early elementary years.
Well, it'll also be new if you let her go back to middle school because that'll be a whole new terrain as well. So I'm saying a prayer that everything works out, and I'll probably be following up with you just to see how she's doing.
Yeah.
Um, Another thing I noticed on your blog, you said in your bio, Jesus loving, and you mentioned God a couple times, and I too am a Christian. But what does God mean to you? And did you grow up in the church? And how did you, establish that such loving relationship with God like that?
So my faith in God is everything to me. I mean, it literally guides every decision that I make. I grew up in church, but I didn't. I wouldn't say that I had a full blown relationship with God until I was in college. And when I met my husband, I was lukewarm. I was lukewarm for God. I went to church. I read my Bible. I did all the things. But when I met my husband, like he was on fire for God, like I had never seen before. And It's proximity to that made me like want to know more and dive deeper, and we've grown together
Mhm.
in the Lord. And that's been great. But yeah, I'm so grateful. My parents raised me to know God and to love God and to love people. And I definitely think that that foundation has helped me, be where I am today. And
Mhm.
I'm excited to raise my children that way. Um, I know that people can grow up in homes where they don't know God and they go on to be amazing leaders in the faith. But I'm so grateful. There's nothing like a foundation. So I'm very, very grateful that I was raised that way, and that I can do the same for my kids.
Now, I noticed that you talk about God in your posts sometimes, as do I. But do you ever get any pushback from anybody, like with comments about, like you talking too much about God, or anything like that?
So I don't. I think
That's good.
honestly, like from the beginning, like I think my community also it's kind of skewed one way since it's heavy homeschool. I mean I have a ton of accounts that are homeschool that follow me, and a lot of homeschool accounts are also Christian accounts. So I
Mhm.
haven't really gotten any like pushback. I'll occasionally get people in my DMs who say like, and I think that this is the goal for every Christian, should be the goal for every Christian. I'll get people in my DMs when I share stuff, and they'll say things like, well, like I'm not necessarily a Christian, but I love that you said that. I love the way you said that. So I think that that's important too. Like we, the saying, your life might be the only Bible that somebody reads. I mean, that really makes me take a step back and look at myself like, okay, sis, well, if that's the only Bible that they're going to read, like, what are you showing? What about God makes people, like, what about you makes people want God? So, no sugarcoating. I'm only going to give truth, but I do want to also make sure that I'm representing God in a way that other people would want to know him.
That's great, great, great. So let me ask you this. What is your best step out on faith moment?
Um, okay, well, I'll say when I quit my job, hands down, that was the biggest step out on faith moment. I
Mhm.
remember us looking at our budget and we were like, these numbers do not add up.
Okay.
But had a word from God. I think that's important first before you do anything like that. We had a word from God and we stood on that and he blew our minds immediately. I mean, it was so quick. So that was my biggest one. And I think with the blog, my biggest step out on faith moment was like, well, we met in person at Disney
Yeah.
at the event. And so people are always like, how did you get Disney? Like you've only been blogging for a little while. People want that their whole careers. And I pitched for it. I have been pitching Disney since 2019.
Mm.
Maybe like every 3 months I hit them back up like, hey y'all, still here, still love Disney, I'm ready whenever you are. And so I know a lot of people get discouraged when they get that first no, but for me it's like motivation for me. I'm like, a no means maybe later. So I think
Right.
it's
Not right now.
a no to me, I'm like my kids, when I tell them no, they're like, okay, I'm gonna ask later. Yeah, I'm gonna have that kind of faith. So I think that has been my biggest step out on faith moment was like pitching them over and over again and then finally seeing it come to fruition, because getting a no is scary. Like rejection is scary, but once you get past that, it opens up a whole new world. So I would say learning to pitch myself and ask for what I want has been a game changer for me. And it's still scary sometimes. Like I send that email sometimes and I'm like, but God is faithful. Whether I get a no or a yes, it's all about me having that confidence and being able to go for it.
So with pitching, how did you learn how to pitch? Because on your blog, I see that you work with a lot of brands. So are they now at the stage where they're coming to you, asking you, pitching you yet, or are you pitching them? And if so, with the pitching, who taught you how to pitch?
Okay, so I think it's a combination of both. I do have brands reach out to me, but it's never like my dream brand reaching out. You know what I'm saying? It's like it'll be random brands, and sometimes the offers will be really good. But as far as like the things that I really, really want, I've pitched them. And I wouldn't say there is a specific like person or thing that taught me to pitch. I think I just kind of pitch naturally out of
Mhm.
kind of what I want, and I try
Yeah.
to keep it clean to the point. My husband's a businessman, and I would pitch for a while and not get any answers back. And one day he was like, "Let me see what you're writing." And I showed him, and he was like, nobody's reading that. He's like, you have about 30 seconds to catch the attention of the person that you're pitching to. So
Mm,
why don't you figure out how you can quickly shorten it and say exactly what you need to say, and then shoot it over. You don't have to tell them your whole life. They don't care. Tell them the
yeah.
idea, keep it moving. And I think for me, that was game changer. So maybe I guess my husband taught me how to pitch. But and I've taken little courses here and there, some are better than others. I don't know if you want names, but I took one by I don't know if you know Jessica Chinyelu.
I don't.
So she is like a sponsorship. She
Mhm.
specializes in corporate sponsorships, and I took her pitch course once, and that really helped me. I'd say that if I took something, that was great, but I don't even think she offers it anymore. It was like a one-time thing, but that helped a lot. But so a combination of her and my husband.
I know you know Brandy Riley, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
haven't
she
ever. I
you
didn't
never
know she had one.
yeah, she has a pitch book. I don't remember how much. It's not expensive at all, but I've used that before. Like she has some good pitches in there and it's like plug and play, you know what I mean? Like dear whoever and change
Yeah.
out what you want to do. And that has worked for me too when I was pitching. So what was your dream though when you were a child? What did you want to grow up to be?
I wanted to be a physician. I wanted to be a pediatrician growing up. And even when I went to college, I went to UAB on a full scholarship. But I had my daughter my freshman year of college. And so I was a young mom. And I remember thinking, like, after I had her, I was like looking at this baby, and I'm like, being a doctor would be cool, but I kind of want to be a stay at home mom. Like, that was my dream. Cause, of course, I was 18, I was not married, I was working like 3 jobs. So, that wasn't my reality, but I always thought like it would be really cool if I could stay home with my baby.
Mm,
um, so I kept going though. I was like, I'm gonna do this. And after graduation, I had dreams to go get my master's and then go to medical school. And I don't know, but I never really felt comfortable. Like I would start the application for my master's, and
yeah.
then I'd be like, maybe next semester. So yeah, the dream for me kind of changed once I became a mom. I honestly can say I was like, I don't know if I even want to work those kind of hours. I don't know if I want to do that and still have a family. So I'd love to say that I went through with it, just for the accomplishment, but I don't think I truly ever wanted it. I think I thought that that was the path for me, because I was great at school. I love science. It's like that natural, what you think you're supposed to do. So yeah, but that is my dream. That was my dream. I wanted to be a doctor.
So are you living the life that you want to right now?
I absolutely am. I would not, there's no other job for me that will be more fulfilling and more in my purpose than what I'm doing right now. So it's like, it makes it all clear to me, because if I had gone to med school, I would have kept going. You know what I'm saying? Like I would still be a doctor. I wouldn't be doing this. And
Absolutely.
I can honestly say that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And it's confirmed over and over again. Like every day when I'm a full time blogger, but I don't work full time hours. I work part time hours because, I like to be with my kids. I like to homeschool them. I like to make breakfast in the morning, and my family all sit together and eat it. And I like to grab takeout for dinner because I don't cook all the time, but I like to grab takeout and we all sit around the table and we eat it together and talk. So I'm absolutely doing what I believe God has for me.
Awesome. So what is the next big dream for Kristen then?
Okay, I'll tell you this. So I have been bitten by the travel blogger bug. And so I didn't think I really want to be a travel blogger. I like the little trips here and there. Of course, they're nice, but I'm thinking that I want to pivot my brand over into travel. And I've kind of been exploring, what that looks like for us, because my husband has a full-time job and my kids have school. My daughter's going to be in traditional school, but I think that that's what I'm about to try to more pivot my brand into more travel blogging, specifically road trips,
Mhm.
because a lot of people aren't comfortable flying yet. So I think that there's a need to see kind of how people are safely traveling. So yeah, I think that's it for me.
I think that's a great idea. I mean, you live in a great state, exploring the state for one, and then you live around Tennessee, Atlanta, you just live around like great states, even if you just started there.
Mhm.
I think that's a great thing. And like you said, because of the road trips, right now, and with the kids, the younger kids, I think that's a great idea. So I guess I'll be seeing some more trips on your Instagram.
Yes, yes, yes. We have a big one. I think we'll be coming back your way in April.
Ooh, back to Disney or just Florida?
We're gonna do an Orlando trip, so we'll be
Okay.
exploring some different theme parks around. We're definitely gonna go back to Disney because we don't go to Orlando without coming to Disney. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
Good. What month did you say?
April at the
April.
very end. Yeah, we're planning
Okay.
on the last week of April right now.
All right, awesome. So what has been your dream? I won't say that because I know that you still have goals and you got a long way to go. So what is your dream client? And I
Um,
say that because I asked somebody else that they was like, well, I worked with them already, but this is it. But I'm like, I know we're thinking big here. So what's your dream client?
um, I think okay, because of course, like it's like you work with them, but I have like sandals, Disney, like
Mhm.
big brand all inclusives. I want to be their go-to girl for any kind of content, any kind of travel hosted trips, any kind of I would love to be a guest blogger for one of these big travel brands. That's my dream. Like I want to I always say like I'm an influencer and I'm a blogger, but at the core I'm a content creator. And so for me that means that even if like the Instagram algorithm hides my posts from everybody that follows me, for me,
Mhm.
the art is the content behind it. So I'm always thinking of ways to create good content. And so I want to be able to like, I'd even love to run a PR firm. Like I don't know, I have so many goals because it's like I want to create content for me, but I also want to create content for other huge brands. So I think those big travel brands for me, those are gonna be like I'd say my goal. But as they come, like as I start to work with travel brands and stuff, like I continue to dream bigger and bigger. So I know that I'm never gonna stop because that's not, I'm always dreaming. So yeah, I think that's it. Like the huge, huge travel brands, like even mom brands like Parents Magazine, What to Expect. I would love to contribute to those publications as well.
That's awesome. I know a travel blogger here. Have you ever heard of Outdoorsy Diva?
Mm-mm, I haven't. I have to look her up.
She's here in Tampa, and she's like the last year and a half just has blown up with her blog. She's got a podcast. She's on the news regularly here because she does, even though she travels the world, the United States, with the pandemic, she had traveled a lot within the states and still made amazing content. Even and she lives here in Tampa, but she goes like to the outer skirts of Florida that I've never even seen, and does great things. So check her out. I mean, as you are building to work with these great brands, just going somewhere to your local, something that people don't know and writing about it, that will just, and put it on your blog. It shows when you are ready to create travel content with the big brands. They're like, oh, okay, she's already been doing A, B, and C and D. So yeah, check out Outdoorsy Diva. She's amazing. For the pandemic, have you had any pandemic ahas?
Um, I honestly like I yes, I'll say that. Because because you're
Yeah.
home, you're able to be with your thoughts more than you ever could. But I just like did a lot of self-reflection about what I wanted my brand to be. Um,
Mhm.
because when the pandemic hit, my blog wasn't even a year old, and I had just had a brand new baby. My daughter Crete was born at the very end of February 2020, like
Oh
a month
wow.
and a half before the pandemic. When
Yeah.
shut down. So I was already on like a maternity leave of sorts, but the blog definitely wasn't full time back then. And I remember sitting down and being like, okay, well, once I started back working, I was working around the clock, to grow my business. And that's what, any startup, you're gonna have to work around the clock. But once I kind of got to a certain point, I was like, okay, Kristen, like you need to figure out what you want for your business and your life, especially when you're working from home. You kind of have to find that boundary line. Like, are you going to work from home, 24/7? Are you going to set proper boundaries? So I think for me, my biggest aha moment was when I had to sit down and be like, girl, you're working nonstop. I mean, I was working like I would get up early, work, And I would like sit my kids in front of the TV sometimes, and I work all day, and then I feed them and they go to bed, and I keep working. And I was like, that's not really kind of life I want to live. Like, I don't want my kids to look back and be like, my mama worked all the time. She never spent any time with us. She was always on her phone, and we always watched movies. So I think that was a big aha moment for me. It was like, yes, be successful, but you can also be successful the right way, have integrity. And so for me, it was finding that balance between, success, integrity, and like, letting it follow up to my home life.
That's good. The pandemic taught us a lot of things. So one thing too with the pandemic, I know we had to spend more time with our family, even though you're homeschooled, you like you said, you're still in the house,
Right.
not going anywhere. So do you have a lot of blogger friends since you're like new to the industry? How do you feel about that?
So I do think that I have, like found community in the blogger world. And I also do think that I found like some like unlikely mentors too. Um, and that's important because like I have lots of kids with having a lot of kids in my ages, like that wasn't always conducive to play dates really. Like I have my daughter's 12, my baby is 1. So
Mhm.
sometimes it's kind of hard to like have play dates or meet up with other moms because it's like if you have a baby, then my 12-year-old is looking like, hmm. And then if you have a preteen, my baby's like hanging out with us. So I
Right.
think I have definitely leaned on my like online tribe. And definitely built an online tribe of people. And then I have a little small group with some girls that we meet up via Zoom every week. But yeah, that's something that I never would have had the pandemic not happen. So I definitely have a bigger tribe now than I did before 2020.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So with motivation and keeping yourself motivated to go towards your dreams, how do you self motivate?
Um, to be honest, I am not a naturally self-motivated person. It's probably the thing, like my husband is, and so it drives him nuts. He always says, like, I don't know what motivates you. But for me, I just am constantly asking God to keep, my angle in front of me and in like purpose. Um, cause you know, it's fine if I don't want to work that day or whatever, but like if I want these things, if I want my business to succeed, if I want to meet the goals that I have, it's like daily putting my one foot in front of the other. So for me, I have to like constantly revisit my goals and my end goal to keep me motivated because I'm pretty chill. So, like deadlines, all that, I'm like getting used to keeping myself on deadlines because when you work for yourself, like you're the deadline.
Absolutely.
And that has been the biggest, um, probably the biggest struggle for me, if I'm just being honest, as an entrepreneur. Like when I'm working with a brand and they give me a deadline, great. When I'm writing for me, when I'm doing something for me, I have to be like, hey girl, treat this like you would treat Toyota's deadline. Like you're just as important as Toyota is, okay? Do it.
I
So
had that same conversation with my husband this morning. Like, if I tell somebody I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. If I'm gonna meet you there, I'm gonna meet you. If whatever I say I'm gonna do for you, I'm going to do it. But it's showing up for me, saying I'm
yeah,
gonna do it for me to me. So I definitely understand what you're talking about.
that's good. I'm gonna have
Whew.
to take that. Like, show up for you. Show up for you, Kristen.
Yeah, show up for you. I forgot what I was about to ask you. um, self-care. That's what I was about to ask you. I asked you about motivation, but how do you take care of yourself? Because you have 4 children, you have a husband. So right now, the pandemic, we're all together. So how do you get that alone time and just like rejuvenate for yourself?
So I talk to my audience about self-care a lot, and I am not the best at this, but I have found that for me, it's getting that quality alone time and actually doing something to relax. So I will go get a hotel room by myself and leave these kids here with their daddy. And I'll just go and I'll spend one night. I'll leave. I wait. I let everybody. I'll help do baths. We'll get everybody in the bed, and then I'm out. I'll go grab takeout on the way to the hotel. I'll sit there in the hotel, eat it, watch a movie, fall asleep, and sleep in, grab
Mhm.
breakfast, and come back home. But those like 12 hours, 12 to 18 hours are like the best thing that I could do for me. Because there's always somebody that needs something from me. You know, there's always somebody, my baby's still nursing, she needs me. My little kids, they can't do anything for themselves, they need me. My 12-year-old, she needs me. My husband, he needs me. But I need that. So I need that alone time. And I'm also an introvert. So I have to have it. So that's been my biggest thing. I go get my hair done now a lot more than I used to in years past. I'll go get a pedicure, get my nails done. Um, I want a massage. This is so funny. Like last spring, I won this big spa giveaway, and it was like a couples massage and like facials and all this stuff. And they sent me a gift card, and now I go do like the smallest packages I can at a time. I've made that gift card stretch. I still
Oh,
have.
to maximize it.
So instead of going to do like that big couples massage,
Yeah.
I'll just go get my nails done. And then I'll go get my toes done a couple weeks later. I'll go get a 30-minute massage. So I just say, like, people, we make self-care really hard sometimes. I know that everything that I've listed is like, something that costs money, but even like I'll go and sit on our back porch during nap time for some,
Hmm.
just to be out of the house, for the
Hmm.
sun to hit my face. But yeah, I've learned to not make barriers to self care for myself, because a lot of times we're the barrier. We're the ones, saying why we can't do something, like, well, my husband won't be able to handle it without me. Says who? How's he ever going to learn, or how's he ever going to do it if you don't try?
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
my biggest thing, is like to stop making excuses for self care and just do it.
Yeah, to me, when women say that, it's like you treat your husband like one of the children. He's not. He's a parent just like you. You had to learn, you know what I mean? And so
Like,
you are in this parenting road together, this parenting
yeah,
journey together.
absolutely.
And I'm so grateful for my husband, who has been hands-on with the kids since day one. Never have I not felt comfortable leaving with him, going to the store, going to a girls' night, or going out of the state, with their father. So I get what you're saying. I was on your website and I saw you have a master class. And before we like wind down to the podcast, would you like to tell the people about it?
Okay, so I've only done it like twice. And
Okay.
so right now the doors are closed. I haven't done it, but I do
Okay.
host a masterclass called Not So Ordinary Influence. And it just basically walks people through the beginning steps of being an influencer. I find that a lot of master classes are super in depth and are kind of geared towards people like me, who've already started their blog and who already kind of have an idea of how to work with brands. But this is like bare bones, like, I have an Instagram. It's private. I show pictures of my kids, but I think I want to transition into being an influencer. And I walk them through the steps. I walk through them through basic pitching. We talk about how to optimize your Instagram and your Instagram bio. And I do offer that as a service, like for people that reach out to me. But I don't advertise it probably as much as I should. I know, here again, show up for yourself. But yeah, it's called Not So Ordinary Influence. So if anybody is interested in that, I have resources that I think could help them, and they can just send me a message.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, so all of my social handles and my site are Growing Up Godfrey. You can find me there on all platforms, and that's also the name of my blog.
And before we conclude the podcast, do you have any message for moms that are watching that may have been in your shoes a while back, feeling stuck, or just saying, you want to do something but won't take that step? Do you have anything you can say to them?
So one thing I do say to moms is, like, I let being a stay-at-home mom be a cop out for me for years. And it's a beautiful, beautiful career, a beautiful life. But if you have a dream that you've been sitting on, don't let that be your crutch or your reason why you don't go for it. You can have the life of your dreams, the career of your dreams, and run the business of your dreams with your kids right beside you. And just take them along for the ride. So I just say, don't let complacency or fear of what's going to happen be the reason you never start.
Thank you. And you've heard it here first, with Dream Girl Dream. And Krystin, thank you so much for being my guest. I know that you will inspire and motivate many to just take that first step. And I wish you much success. And I'm gonna be watching and we're cheering you on from the sidelines.
Thanks so much, girl.
So thank you everybody for listening and watching to Dream Girl Dream. And until next time, Dream Girl Dream.